Even the counselors that counseled them had to get counseling. That's how traumatic the experience were. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillah. Wassalatu wassalamu Rasulillah sallallahu alayhi wasallam. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome to another edition of Real Problems, Real Solutions. I've received a lot of emails and messages over time from sisters, specifically sisters from Africa, talking about what's called FGM, female genital mutilation. A lot of people have a misunderstanding about this. They will quote hadith, and I'm not going to get into these right now because I'm going to do a more extensive video about this, inshallah. But there are a few hadith on this matter. What's important to understand is this. Number one, this practice of circumcision. Let's make the distinction here. Circumcision and FGM, two different things. So FGM has been classified by World Health Organization. There's a lot of information out there online about this and awareness. Some of it is just to push the Muslims and to, of course, as always, to attack them and to make them look barbaric and that they oppress women and blah, 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 blah. However, at this point, I have to say that there's a lot of truth to that because some people practice this in ignorance. Now, the hadith, for example, one that talks about when the two circumcised parts meet, about jama'ah, about intimacy, or the Prophet ﷺ said, if you cut, don't cut, too much, cut just a little bit. It's not about the hadith being authentic or unauthentic, that we're taking our brain over the hadith. No, it's about the ignorance of people what actually circumcision means. So in today's episode, I just wanted to make a quick note of that including the World Health Organization and they're totally wrong in understanding what this is. So circumcision is the cutting of skin, the prepuce. For example, for a man, do you cut his penis off when you circumcise him, or do you cut the skin, the foreskin? You cut the foreskin. All right, so when you understand that the female, when the female and male development happens, the part that actually develops into the penis and the clitoris is actually the same kind of cells that are specialized. It's just that the genetic code will tell male or female. For lack of better words, or I don't want to get into too much technical terms that people might not understand, the clitoris is pretty much like a small penis. Even if you were to put it under a magnifying glass, it basically looks like the head of a penis. Cutting the clitoris itself would mean like cutting the tip of the penis. You don't do that when you circumcise a man, do you? You just cut the skin. So it's the same for a female. It wouldn't happen that they would cut the clitoris. They would have to cut some of the covering of the skin, not the actual clitoris itself, which is responsible for pleasure in a woman and orgasm and so on. And has caused so many problems for so many women. I feel so bad for those women, the clients who come to me and share their stories and with our counselors and the traumatic experiences that they've gone through. And they don't even do it at birth, right? They do it like 3, 5 years old, 6 years old. In many of the African countries, sadly Muslim. Now this practice again was done by non-Muslims for many, many centuries before Islam. And again, Islam dealt with that culture, and look at what the Prophet ﷺ said. And it was not about cutting the clit. That's the problem. The people are so ignorant in the practice of circumcision itself. Imagine if a man gets his tip chopped off. That's basically the equivalent of FGM, where you circumcise and cut the actual clitoris, which means you would cut the penis for the man, right? It doesn't happen. The men, they don't do it. They just cut the skin. Why for the woman, they cut the actual organ? You understand? Because of ignorance, because of jahili, pre-Islamic practice that people would do, and people have taken into Islam, and that happens with so many things, and then we label it as Islam. People get confused. The non-Muslims criticize us, but whatever, who cares? It's not even about the non-Muslim. It's about that we are making dhulm on these girls. Parents are making dhulm on these young girls by, first of all, not doing it when they're supposed to do it in their young, when they're young, and secondly, really hurting them and cutting them by making it so difficult for them. It's just ignorance about the process itself. It's something so sad where we see so many women, they get sawed up and they have intimacy problems, huge intimacy problems, trauma, suffering, lack of ability to bond and pair with their husband. The man suffers, the woman suffers. Of course, the woman suffers because of what she's gone through. She's been mutilated. It's mutilation. Indeed, FGM is the correct term for this jahili practice, because Again, I'm going to restate it. Please bear with me. A man, when he gets circumcised, he doesn't get his organ cut off. It's just the skin. The equivalent of circumcision for a woman would be that the skin is cut. And that's why Prophet said, don't cut too much. Right? When you actually look at what happens, they literally mutilate the thing. They saw it. It's disgusting. They cut the actual organ. Keep in mind, penis, clitoris, same material, even same look. It's just that one is extremely small and it develops as that, and one is obviously bigger, because when the differentiation of sexes happens in the womb, when the qadr kicks in and the code is expressed, one becomes a woman, so it becomes small and becomes a clitoris, and the other one becomes a man, it becomes a penis. So we're basically cutting the private part of a woman off, right? That's what the people are doing. And this is the dhulm. This is a horrible thing that's being done and has nothing to do with female circumcision. Circumcision is a different thing. The Prophet talked about it. Is it fard? Is it this? The ulama have this talked about it, have deferred it. It's not a fard according to many of the ulama. This is not even the issue, because it's about cutting the skin. It wouldn't do damage for the woman, and it should be done when they're very young, when they're babies, and it doesn't have to be necessarily. Okay? As again, I leave that discussion, you can look it up, or the debates of the ulama. But the cutting of the actual organ, this is horrible. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect the women who have gone through this. They need counseling, they need help, they need support. It's traumatic. It destroys their sexual life. It destroys their ability to enjoy intimacy. And the funny thing is that some people say, well, you don't know, because this can protect you from haram and this and that. You know what will protect you from haram? I'll tell you what Islamically will protect from haram. Marriage. We are mutilating women, yet we are delaying marriage, and we're closing the doors for haram. We're pushing those women into work, into being like men, feminist, into all kinds of things in this world. Yet, they get mutilated at the age of 5 and 6 with some form of hafla or party almost in many. Like some of the clients that I have were so traumatic, Yahi and sister, that they counseled them had to get counseling. That's how traumatic the experience were. That even the counselors who counsel some of these sisters had to get counseling and get off work for some time to recover because of the tremendous, horrible, story that they heard from, and the case that they had to deal with. There's only one pill to swallow for ignorance, and that is knowledge and understanding. Again, to review, it's not about circumcising the skin, right? It's not about the debate of the ulama whether it's fard or not to do that. It's about what they're cutting. That's where the mistake is done, and it's a big dhulm, a big problem, and we have to educate people to stop doing that and to stop hurting women and to destroy their future. The future as a mother, man. You cannot have intercourse properly. You cannot give birth properly. The pain and the suffering and the emotional and psychological trauma that comes in these cultures. And then you find them that they're so unhappy in their marriages. May Allah protect. This is not from the objectives of Islam. Actually, the qawaid and the objectives in the Sharia protects the well-being of a woman. We want to protect people from haram and do halal. And let's start talking about what Islam really recommends us to do, clearly, with clarity, not ambiguity, from the Quran and Sunnah, in establishing a family and doing the right thing, having halal intimacy, not delaying marriage, okay, because you've been circumcised on and sawed up like a stitched up like a doll, that now you can go out in the world and wait till you're 30 to get married, and then you'll see, because you're safe now because you got circumcised. That's not circumcision, that's mutilation. Indeed, it is FGM. May Allah protect, may Allah help, and may Allah cure the ignorance. Ameen.